The monarchy has remained silent for years. Through the interviews, the docuseries, the memoirs, and the endless stream of headlines from Montecito the Palace adopted their famous motto, never complain, never explain. But that silence just ended. In a move that has sent absolute shockwaves through the global media landscape, Princess Anne, the most formidable member of the royal family, has drawn a hard constitutional line in the sand. And this time, it isn't about Harry, and it isn't about Meghan. It is about two children who have become the center of a battle that is no longer just a family feud. It is an institutional intervention. We are watching the collapse of the as-ever empire, and it's happening in real time. The carefully curated world of wellness jams, lifestyle blogs, and perfectly staged photos is in freefall because Buckingham Palace is no longer watching from a distance. They have engaged, and the intel coming out of London suggests that King Charles and Princess Anne are preparing to do the one thing Meghan Markle never thought they would dare to do: reach across the Atlantic and intervene in the welfare of her children. You need to ask yourself a question right now before we go any further. At what point does a mother's ambition cross the line into exploitation? And do you believe the royal family has a right to step in when a child's childhood is seemingly traded for brand value? Stay right there, because what has unfolded over the last 3 weeks is more legally explosive and emotionally raw than anything we have seen from the House of Windsor in decades. This isn't tabloid gossip. These are court filings. These are timestamps, and the clock is ticking on a showdown that will change everything. To understand the gravity of what is happening right now, we have to go back to the 23rd of January, 2026. Behind the gilded gates of Buckingham Palace, a meeting took place that was unlike anything recorded in the modern royal court circular. This wasn't a cocktail reception, and it wasn't a strategy session for a charity rollout. It was a full-blown emergency summit. Look at the roster of who was in that room. You had King Charles III present in person. You had Prince William, Duchess Sophie, and the royal family's most aggressive legal advisors. But the person chairing the session tells you everything you need to know about the temperature in the room. It was Princess Anne. When Anne takes the lead, it means the monarchy has moved past diplomacy and into damage control. But here is the detail that should stop you in your tracks. The detail that most mainstream outlets are afraid to touch. Sitting at that table alongside the heirs to the throne was an external representative from the UK's Department for Children and Families. Think about what that means for a second. When child welfare officials from a government department are brought inside Buckingham Palace to discuss a family matter, you have left the territory of a domestic dispute. You are now in the territory of state-level intervention. This session lasted over 3 hours. Witnesses described the mood as funereal. What emerged from those 3 hours wasn't a press release. It was the most sweeping child protection directive the monarchy has issued in 20 years. Why did they pull the trigger now? Because reports submitted by Prince Harry's own UK counsel had finally reached the highest levels of the institution. These reports contained what insiders are calling serious alarms regarding the welfare of Master Archie and Lady Lilibet. The very next morning, Clarence House released a statement that didn't just hint at the problem, it screamed it. They expressly condemned any attempts to commodify the siblings. That word commodify was a direct shot at Montecito. So what exactly did the palace see that forced their hand? It wasn't just rumors, it was data. Princess Anne's advisory team has compiled a dossier that is being whispered about in private circles as the Lilibet Logs. This is a detailed, documented accounting of a 6-year-old child's weekly schedule, and it is absolutely heartbreaking. We aren't talking about school runs, play dates, or finger painting. According to this internal dossier, Lilibet's life has been structured like a C-suite executive. Mondays and Wednesdays were logged for filming short-form content for the As Ever brand. Thursdays were blocked out for voice training for a potential audiobook narration. Fridays, those were for Mommy and Me product shoots for upcoming wellness campaigns. And if that wasn't enough, the weekends, the time when a child should be running in the grass, were filled with brand-related activities, including live streams and virtual meet and greets. Let that sink in. Lilibet is 6 years old. She doesn't even have all her adult teeth yet. Neurologists and child psychologists agree that at this age, unstructured play is critical for brain development. Yet she was clocking in. The numbers don't lie. According to the documentation submitted by Harry's lawyers, Lilibet logged over 192 recorded work hours between October and December of 2025. That is the equivalent of 6 full-time adult work weeks crammed into a single quarter. Prince William's reaction to this data was visceral. During a closed-door roundtable on January 30th, sources say he broke royal protocol and spoke with raw anger. He reportedly said, "She is 6 years old and already more exhausted than most working women in their 30s. This is not childhood. This is exploitation." Those are the words of a future king, and they are now part of the permanent record. But the logs were just the beginning. The testimony from the staff inside the house paints an even darker picture. It's one thing to see the hours on a spreadsheet. It's another to hear what happens when the cameras stop rolling. Multiple former contractors connected to the As Ever brand have spoken anonymously to palace investigators, describing scenes that are genuinely uncomfortable to visualize. One staffer detailed a moment where Lilibet cried quietly for 15 minutes after forgetting a scripted line during a promotional video. Instead of comfort, she was reportedly told by a personal assistant that she needs to learn resilience. Another account describes an incident where Meghan, frustrated by a delay in filming, allegedly raised her voice at the 6-year-old, telling her, "If you want to build something in this world, you have to show up every time. No exceptions." She was talking to a first grader about professional legacy. But the moment that truly cracked the palace resolve, the moment that silenced the room during that emergency briefing, came from Lilibet herself. In late December 2025, a third-party child psychologist retained by Harry's legal team held 2 confidential sessions with the child. What she said wasn't coached, it wasn't scripted, it was devastatingly simple. She said, "I want to go where I don't have to smile every time. I want to be with Archie." One royal family source described reading that transcript as a punch to the gut. It wasn't a child asking for a specific toy or a piece of candy. It was a child rejecting performance as an identity. She was asking to go to a place where her existence wasn't tied to a camera lens. And that plea brought the focus sharply onto the other victim in this tragedy, the boy who has seemingly vanished from the face of the earth. Where is Archie? This is the question that Duchess Sophie reportedly asked during a strategy session, describing his absence as a silence that screams. While Lilibet is being positioned as the face of the brand, the mini Meghan the starlet in training, Archie Harrison, has effectively disappeared. For over 14 months, the 7-year-old prince has not been seen in public. He hasn't appeared in the As Ever promotional materials. He isn't in the family tableau. And this isn't just a case of privacy. According to internal reports, it's a case of severe withdrawal. School attendance records from an unnamed Los Angeles elementary institution indicate sporadic presence. But the most alarming notes come from Prince Harry's own confidential filings. Harry describes his son as exhibiting anxious responses whenever cameras or filming equipment are brought into the house. The boy has developed a profound aversion to being photographed. Think about the irony and the tragedy of that. The son of the man who hates the paparazzi more than anyone on earth has developed a phobia of the very machinery his mother is using to build her brand. The palace is now grappling with a dual crisis. You have one child who is being overexposed to the point of exhaustion, and another child who is being hidden away, potentially emotionally isolated. Duchess Sophie's assessment was chilling. We must ensure he is not emotionally orphaned while both parents are in a public war. The dynamic is clear and disturbing. One show, pony one ghost, and the royal family has decided that they cannot allow either narrative to continue. The narrative that Meghan is simply a modern mother protecting her cubs fell apart when the Brentwood Academy files surfaced. This is a piece of the puzzle that Meghan's team has tried desperately to keep buried. Lilibet was enrolled at the prestigious Brentwood Academy in Los Angeles, a place known for discretion and excellence. But in December 2025, she was abruptly pulled out. Meghan's official reason: disagreements about curriculum freedom. But the school's internal absence report tells a very different story. On December 10th, Brentwood issued a formal notice flagging that social development markers were not being met. They cited severe absenteeism and an inability to confirm learning milestones. But the kicker was the school's concern over Lilibet's emotional self-regulation. They recommended a full developmental assessment. Instead of addressing the concern, Meghan removed her. But here is where it gets legally dangerous. Palace sources have confirmed that over 10 contracts involving Lilibet are currently under investigation. We are talking about deals spanning fashion, skincare, scripted video content, and educational toy lines. 10 contracts for a child who cannot legally sign her name. When pressed on this during a virtual press conference, Meghan's answer was telling. She didn't deny the work. She reframed it. She said, "She's not working, she's creating. There's a difference." But to the royal legal team and to the California Labor Board, there is no difference. Labor is labor. And when Harry's team saw the scale of the commercialization, they realized that diplomacy was dead. They had to go nuclear. This is the plot twist that nobody saw coming. For years, the narrative has been Harry and Meghan against the world, a united front. But on January 2nd, 2026, that front shattered. Prince Harry filed an official custody request with the Los Angeles Superior Court. This wasn't a leaked rumor. This was a formal legal action filed by a British prince in an American court, and sources say he did it without Meghan's prior knowledge. He blindsided her. In the filing, Harry's lawyers used a phrase that has since become the rallying cry for the royal intervention. They wrote, "The emotional bifurcation of siblings is not a solution. It is institutionalized trauma." Harry is seeking full legal and physical custody of both Archie and Lilibet. He wants to bring them to the UK. Meghan's team scrambled to file a counter motion on January 6th, proposing a split custody framework. Her proposal, Archie spends 9 months with Harry and Lilibet remains full-time in California. Why? Because according to her lawyers, Lilibet has educational, therapeutic, and career systems in place that cannot be replicated in Britain. Read that again. Career systems. They used the existence of a 6-year-old's career as a legal argument for custody. When Princess Anne and Prince William reviewed that document, they viewed it as a definitive red flag. You do not argue that a first grader needs to stay in Los Angeles for her career unless you are admitting that her primary function is commercial. That filing was the final nail in the coffin. Enter the Royal Child Preservation Council. This is not a fuzzy PR initiative. This is a war room. Led by Princess Anne and reporting directly to King Charles, the RCPC is being described as the most active non-political royal body since the Diana Crisis Committee of 1997. Its mission is singular: to preserve the private development and emotional stability of royal descendants abroad. The council includes pediatric psychologists, international custody experts, and diplomats, and they are already drafting contingency plans involving the UK Foreign Office. The threat is subtle, but devastating. If Meghan continues to resist inquiries and refuses to cooperate with the wellness checks, the monarchy is prepared to weaponize their heritage. They are examining whether Meghan has been using Windsor symbols commercially without authorization, royal coats of arms hidden in design-specific fonts crests. If they confirm these infringements, the palace is ready to issue a full revocation notice. Lilibet would retain her bloodline status, but every royal visual identifier attached to the as-ever products would be stripped. As one insider put it, it would be a thunderous signal that lineage does not entitle license. They are effectively threatening to demonetize the children's royal connection if that connection is being abused. But amidst the lawyers and the threats, there is one figure trying to find a human solution: Catherine, the Princess of Wales. While Anne is bringing the fire, Kate is offering the olive branch. She has quietly positioned herself as the mediator, proposing what is being called the Windsor Reset. This is a proposed secret summit at Windsor Castle slated for February 9th to the 11th. No press, no staff, no lawyers, just Harry, Meghan, William, Kate, and Anne. A family meeting to discuss the fate of the children. Invitations were hand-delivered via diplomatic courier. Harry is reportedly desperate to attend. Meghan has been silent. However, Kate didn't just send an invite. She sent a handwritten letter to Meghan. While the full contents remain locked away, one excerpt has been verified by trusted sources. Kate wrote, "Whatever divides us, I believe we both want them to feel loved before they feel watched." It is a profound sentence. Loved before they feel watched. It cuts through all the branding, all the noise, and hits the core of the issue. Kate is banking on the hope that beneath the Duchess dictator headlines, there is still a mother who loves her children. It is a sophisticated, high-stakes emotional gamble. We have to talk about the money, because in the world of Montecito, the currency isn't just dollars, it's relevance. And the royal family knows exactly where the weak point in the as-ever armor lies. It's not in the courts, it's in the brand valuation. Financial analysts in London have been quietly running the numbers, and the picture they are painting is catastrophic for Meghan. The entire as-ever empire, the jams, the linens, the wellness retreats, is built on a foundation of royal proximity. It relies on that subtle, unspoken association with the House of Windsor. It's what allows a jar of jam to sell for a premium price. It's what gets the meetings with Netflix. But if Princess Anne executes the scorched earth policy she has drafted, that premium evaporates overnight. We aren't just talking about losing a title. We are talking about the palace issuing a formal disclaimer to global retailers clarifying that these products have zero royal endorsement. Imagine the humiliation of a not royal-approved sticker metaphorically stamped on every product launch. One brand strategist told us, "If the palace strips the royal aura, Meghan is just another influencer in a crowded market. She loses the magic dust." King Charles knows this. He understands that while he cannot stop Meghan from being a mother, he can stop her from being a royal merchant. He is effectively holding the family's checkbook over the fire, betting that when pushed, Meghan will realize that a broke brand is worse than a bruised ego. And this brings us to the most tragic figure in this entire saga, Prince Harry. For years, he has told us that his only goal was to break the cycle of pain. He left the UK to protect his family from the zoo. He wanted to save his wife from the paparazzi and his children from the hierarchy. But look at the reality staring him in the face. He hasn't broken the cycle. He has inverted it. Instead of the palace courtiers pushing his children into the spotlight, it is his own household. He is watching his daughter Lilibet become the star, the one who has to smile, perform, and carry the brand. And he is watching his son Archie become the invisible one, the boy who hides in the shadows. It is a twisted, commercialized version of the heir and the spare dynamic that traumatized Harry his entire life. Only this time, the hierarchy isn't determined by birth order. It is determined by marketability. Sources close to Harry say this realization has been devastating. He is seeing the ghost of his own childhood in his son's anxious eyes. When Archie flinches at a camera, Harry sees himself. And when Lilibet is told to show up for a shoot, he sees the same machinery that chewed up his mother. The call is coming from inside the house. And for the first time, Harry seems ready to pick up the phone and ask his father for help. So here we stand. The summit dates are approaching. The king is watching. Princess Anne has her finger on the trigger of a legal and diplomatic cannon. And trapped in the middle are two children, a boy who is afraid of the light and a girl who is tired of performing. Meghan Markle is facing a choice that will define the rest of her life. She can walk into Windsor Castle, sit at the table, and agree to de-escalate the commercialization of her daughter. Or she can double down. She can launch the next season of her reality show, give the next tell-all interview, and fight the British monarchy with everything she has. But the Crown has made one thing unmistakably clear. They are no longer afraid of her threats. They are more afraid of what will happen to those children if they do nothing. King Charles has decided he will not let history repeat itself. He will not watch another generation be consumed by the camera. The question is, what will Meghan do? Will she choose her children? Or will she choose her brand? Does she see Lilibet as a daughter? Or as a second chance to be the star she always wanted to be? We want to hear from you. Do you think the royal family is right to intervene? Or is this an overstep of power? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to know what happens the moment that summit begins, make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on. The Crown is awake, and they are not blinking.